Hey, welcome. I would like to show you the 3 hand positions that you are going to use when you're using a snaffle bit. And simplified, they are high, middle, and low. And each one of them has a different reason and a different purpose. And I'm using Farrah here, and she's a little bit fidgety. She's just kind of that kind of a colt. Most of the time when you're riding most horses, you're going to ride with your hands in this imaginary box right here in front of the saddle horn. And so when you're holding your reins there, that's the middle position. So you're riding around, I'm just going to ride her around here, and I'm going to turn her, and I'm going to keep my hands pretty much in this middle position, right even with the front of my saddle horn. Okay? And that's where they're going to be. The lower position is used to get that horse to lower its nose, to drop its nose and bring that nose down. And she's pretty sensitive, so I don't have to do much with her. But you see where I dropped my hands from here in front of the saddle horn down here about halfway down on the calf of my leg to get her to do that move right there. So that's the lower position. And when I do that, it puts a different pressure on her mouth. Wherever you pull is going to put a little bit of a different pressure on her mouth. The upper position up here is for the purpose of lifting that horse's shoulders. So when I pull up here, you can see she kind of lifts up, and you can really see it if I start walking her around. So I've got my hands in the middle position here, and I'm going to lift my right hand, and you can see that shoulder come up, and she moved off of it. But I kept my left hand, I'll keep it there in position 2. Now I'll come around and do it the other way. So I'm going to switch, I'm going to raise my left hand, drop my right hand, and she lifted her left shoulder. I hope you could see that. She lifted her left shoulder, and I'll lift it up here. But I kept my other hand down. And so, depending on what you're trying to do with your horse, you're going to move your hands appropriately. And one of the things I teach, I've got young riders who want a barrel race, and I teach them as you're coming into the barrel, you want to lift your inside hand, but you're going to drop your outside hand a little bit. Now, that's in the beginning. As they're going really fast, they don't do that. But when they come into the barrel, let me just come at you. When they come into the barrel's to my right, they're going to lift like this to round that horse's body and to lift that shoulder so that the horse doesn't drop into the barrel and knock the barrel over. And so you use these different positions depending on what you're asking her to do, and then I'll just switch and go the other way. And then if I want her to drop her nose down, I'll just put my hands down, ask her to collect up and get into position, what she did right there. And one more thing, I do my curb straps different than anybody else. I'd like to ask my girl to zoom in on her mouth here. You'll notice that I have my curb strap above the reins on her mouth instead of below. Pretty much everybody in the world, I guess almost, puts the curb strap below the bridle reins. The reason I put it above is because I have discovered that if you put it below the bridle reins and then you ask your horse to drop that nose and get into a vertical position, that curb strap will tap them on the chin. Okay? And I just don't think that that's helpful if I'm asking her to do something and then that curb strap's bumping her when she does it. So that's the reason I keep my curb straps really loose and I keep them up above the bridle reins. So I want to take just a minute and show you a little bit about what's called the nutcracker effect. And there are some folks who say, I just absolutely won't use a snaffle bit that's broken in the middle because it's going to have this nutcracker effect and pinch my horse's jaw and poke them in the top of the mouth and so forth. And yes, that is a possibility. It can happen. But let me show you something. And I'm using this axe handle to kind of illustrate the horse's tongue. And I'm going to ask my camera girl to kind of zoom in on the bit here. Typically I ride, and so do you probably, with my hands about 18 inches apart when I'm riding. That's most of the time, and these things I'm showing you today, mostly your hands are going to be about this far apart. That's not likely to happen. See that? The only way you're going to get that nutcracker effect is for me to bring my hands really close together and pull together at the same time. You're never going to get your hands that close together when you're riding your horse, okay? So I'm not saying it can't happen, but I'm saying it's highly unlikely that you're going to do anything that harsh with the snaffle bit.